Aloha and welcome to Connection to the Cosmos with your host, me, Dr. Lisa Thompson, where I have out of this world conversations with extraordinary people. Today, I am really excited to have on Diana Dorell. We're going to bring her on in just a moment, but first, a couple of announcements. If you have not had the opportunity yet to grab my free 20-minute meditative journey to meet your galactic family and guides, make sure you get that on my website, mysticmanta.com or drlisajthompson.com. Also, for those of you that are healers, regression therapists, anything energy healing modalities that want to up level your mastery and add on a new service, then check out my Galactic Ascension Channel Certification Program, which I'm teaching September 21st and 22nd online. And I will also be leading my galactic retreat here on the Big Island of Hawaii, October 2nd to the 6th. So if you are interested in really doing a deep dive journey into working with your galactic family and guides, then this retreat is for you. And all that information is on my website, mysticmanta.com or drlisajthompson.com. And then if you're coming to Hawaii any other time, specifically to the Big Island, then come on one of my Big Island UFO tours where you will experience the night sky in a whole new way using the advanced Generation 3 military night vision goggles. And more information of that is at bigislandufotours.com. So without further ado, bringing on Diana. Hello, Diana.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here today.
I am really excited to talk to you. And let me share with the audience your bio real fast, and then we'll get into the juicy conversation.
I love it.
Okay, Diana Dorell, aka Diana the Dancing Goddess, is a women's empowerment leader, healer, and modern day medicine woman who reminds successful women like you that you are a goddess, you are loved, and you matter. She inspires you to heal yourself and be magnetic to love in all areas. She is the best-selling co-author of The Dating Mirror, Trust Again, Love Again on Amazon and founder of the Goddess Circle Collective. So, right up my alley with all the love and the goddess work and all of that. But so before we jump into that kind of conversation, I would love for you to share with me and the audience kind of your background. How'd you grow up? Spiritual, religious, something else? So we understand how you got into the work that you do.
Absolutely. So I actually from a long line of healers and medicine women from Colombia and Venezuela. And my maternal grandmother was, she worked with herbs and was a clairvoyant. And I remember growing up thinking, gosh, she's so weird. And I'm terrified of her. She's like this tiny, like 4'10" Colombian lady. And she had these fiery eyes. And I remember being small and like seeing her in the kitchen. And she was like, Mija, like you've got the gifts too. You're going to use them someday. And I'm like, that's great. Like, leave me alone. So I do feel like it's part of my blood. I didn't actually come into this work professionally until my late 20s when, surprise, like love, love was like the biggest thing on my mind and also the biggest thing that I couldn't seem to solve. And I turned to spiritual classes, spiritual readers and healers to make sense of my life and uncovered my own gifts in the process and began teaching it to others.
Okay, well, so let's talk about this. Your experience of love in your early life, because I'm sure there's probably some similarities with you and me, and then also maybe some of the audience.
Yeah, so I had this really wonderful tendency to date the same guy with a different face. And always, was the one to kind of point the finger, right? Like what was wrong with them. And I got to a point where it almost became comical when people would ask me about their relationships, because from a psychic perspective, I was sharing what was coming through, but on the inside, I was like, I feel like so out of integrity because my own relationships are such a mess. And I feel like I don't know what to do about it. And I remember having an experience in San Francisco where I was living at the time, and I was going to see one of the guys, right? And I was always the one kind of trying to make it work and deep down knowing that it probably wasn't the right one, but he was the man of the moment. and I couldn't get a cab to Oakland Airport, and I was going to miss my flight. And I remember being so desperate, standing in the rain and looking up at the sky and saying, I don't really believe in you, but if you, right, angels, goddess, whatever exists, like I need a cab now. And a cab miraculously pulled up, and I was already like flabbergasted. And this guy in a 3-piece business suit cut me off, got in my cab, and I remember just cursing the sky. See, I told you I didn't believe in this shit. And the cab driver actually reversed, kicked the guy out, which is unheard of. And I
Mhm.
got in, and I made it to the airport on time. And the last thing he said to me was, I told you you would be okay, little lady. You're in Archangel Michael's cab.
Okay, I just
And
got major chills on that. Okay.
yeah. And I was like, what? And he was just this sweet, like kind of grandfather type. And I didn't
Yeah.
even have enough money to like pay him. Like I was a hot mess in my 20s. And he's just like, it's my pleasure, but like you need to hurry up so you don't miss the flight. And he just said, you're in Michael's cab. And he winked at me. And I remember being on the plane thinking, like, there's something bigger than all of this drama that I'm creating in my relationships. And I had to take a good hard look at myself. That relationship, not surprisingly, combusted.
Yeah.
But when I came back, I was a different person just because I realized I couldn't control everything. And there were some really hard truths about myself that I was avoiding.
Mhm.
So I began to take a deeper look, started learning how to trust my intuition, and the rest is history, as they say. And this is my specialty. I love talking about love. I love helping people remember that they are love and that they matter. And it is a daily practice. I never claim to be the source or be like the guru on the mountaintop. Like I am practicing all the principles that I teach,
Mhm.
and it's a daily commitment to love yourself. And when you do, your relationships, love interests, friends, professional relationships, they all shift in frequency around you. And you start to see very clearly where you've given your power away, and also where you want to put your energy and, who you want to be closer to and have more intimate connection with.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, so me, yeah, I had to go through two husbands first
Oh, there you go.
before I was like,
You got the graduate course.
when I came out of that second marriage after leaving him, I was like, okay, I am the common denominator here. And so it was a real, like for you, like it was a real like wake up call of like, oh, okay, I need to do some deep dive healing so that I
Mhm.
don't keep recreating these toxic relationships. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And how beautiful that you were able to like just pause, right? And see, like, I am the common denominator. And that's really beautiful because I can shift myself.
Yes.
I can't change or control anybody else, but I
No.
can control and shift my frequency, my energy, and my
Yeah.
choices.
Yeah. And this was, in my very early 40s. So I had gone through like one after another of these relationships. And so, um, and for me, when I was able to do that healing, and you're right, it is a daily practice for sure.
Some
but
days are easier than others.
but when I was able to, I was, healed at a really good, kind of human level mostly. That's when I met and married my third husband. And that was a whole journey, a very different
Mm,
journey than the other experience where I did feel completely loved and supported and all of that. And
that's
so
so beautiful.
for you, with your healing journey, were you able to find your match?
Yeah, so I actually am celebrating my second anniversary in just a month. I didn't think actually I was going to ever get married. I'm in my early 40s now, and I had kind of just resigned, okay, maybe I'm just supposed to be by myself.
Mhm.
And my husband, he's 10 years older. He also had never been married. And it was kind of a joke in the beginning of our connection. I'm like, you don't want to get married, do you? Do you? No? Okay, cool. And then he asked me, and I thought it was a joke. And I'm like, really? You want to do this? He's like, I mean, like with you, yeah. Like, what do you think? And I'm like, okay. And it was the easiest decision I made, which is how you know it's right. But I think we spend so much time trying to make somebody fit, right? Trying to check off the list, husband or relationship. And the truth is that if you're not authentic with your heart, then you're going to attract kind of inauthentic experiences and you're going to have to clean up your own mess. And I was just tired of doing that. So, yeah, I love my husband. He's very supportive of my work as well. And in the beginning of our relationship, and I'm curious to see how it was at the beginning of your courtship too with the third husband, like it was hard to be loved that openly and that selflessly. I was like, what's wrong with him? Like, why is he still here? Like, and I was just like nitpicking and finding things wrong. And he was just like a rock. He was just smiling, like, I'm still here. Like, I'm not going anywhere. And I'm like, but why? So he's a keeper. But I know, like for anybody listening or watching, it's a journey. You've got to recognize that nobody is going to fulfill all your needs, and that's not what they're there for. It's somebody to share your experience and your life with, and to create experiences together. But never look to somebody to fulfill you, because you're beautiful just as you are, and so are they, and we're all imperfect.
Yes. Beautiful. Well, happy anniversary.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, the third one, so it was interesting in the beginning because he had gotten out of a 24-year relationship
Oh
with
my
his
gosh.
wife, and he needed time to heal himself when we met. And so we were just friends for a long time. It was kind of dating friends without truly dating.
Mm.
I just had to be really patient and loving with him and know he was doing his own processing, his own healing. And then at some point he realized, oh, if I you know, don't say, okay, we're officially dating, that she's going to leave me. So he was more the one that was, in that kind of,
Interesting.
yeah. And, and we did end up getting married. Originally, we were not going to get married because I had already been married twice. I didn't need that. But what's really interesting is that when we met, I was still very much in like a 3D business kind of setting. I've always been very spiritual, and I've always had my galactic side, but I had to hide that for most of my.
Mm.
And so at some point in the relationship, I had this very strong pull, like, okay, no, I need to actually go deeper into the spirituality side and start my spiritual business alongside my 3D design business that I had.
Oh my goodness.
And so for him, like this, and I, thank you for letting me share this, because I don't normally have people on that specialize in this self-love. And
Oh, cool. No, I love it.
wait, some of this, and we can even go longer if needed,
Yeah.
is that so he fully supported me in doing that, even though he didn't fully understand it himself.
Yeah.
And then that progressed more and more. We ended up moving here to Hawaii 3.5 years ago, and then
Mm.
I fully stepped into my galactic self, which he supported, but he was also kind of on the fence of like, oh, this is getting a little more weird. um, and then we had a plot twist last year
What
where
happened?
he committed suicide.
What?
Yeah.
I
And
what?
okay, so here's the thing is that, like, fortunately, I have a deep spiritual understanding of things, and a lot of my friends are psychic mediums and things like that. So because I still had that self-love, and I had this strength within me, I was able to process through that very, very quickly. And this, again, plot twist, very early on after he passed away, he came through and said, you need romance in your life. You thrive in romance, and I'm going to bring you your next person. You're not going to have to go through a bunch of losers.
What?
So now, um, he, ha- he, I've already, he's already brought me that person. And we're like now 6 months in
Oh
to
my goodness.
relationship, and the new one fulfills all the things, the galactic, the spiritual, like the deep things that I needed
Mm,
beyond what Skip had provided for me. He provided that base, that support that I needed to know, like, okay, I am lovable. I knew that, but
yeah.
he got to show it to me for 8 years. And
Ah,
then so that was the basis. So then now I was like, okay, well, it's got to be that plus.
wow. Thank you for sharing that with me and being so open about that. I can't even imagine what that experience must have been like. I mean, and like how beautiful that you were able to bring in your spiritual practice to help you with that transition and
Hmm.
that healing, and that this new person is, in your life. And it's kind of like, you had to go through the different experiences to get here.
Hmm.
And how beautiful. I love that he supports your work with the galactic, because that's definitely like, I can see like, more a conventional partner being like, what the heck is that? Like, I don't
Right.
want to be associated with any of that.
And because I have fully stepped in, I've embraced, my authentic self. That's like that's when we attract, right? That which is equal to us.
Absolutely. And I had told my husband before we came on that I'm like, the host is like in Hawaii, and he's obsessed with Hawaii. His father was from Kona, recently passed right before our wedding, but like he was just so excited. I was talking to somebody in Hawaii. He's like, well, what island? I'm like, I have no idea, honey. Like, I need to hop
Actually,
on right now.
just north of Kona
He's going to be thrilled.
on the Big Island. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We were recently in Waikiki for a wedding, and he just reconnected with that part of himself. And everywhere we went, people were like, are you from here? He's Japanese, and so he's got the native look going on. And I just saw like a light in his eyes that I haven't always seen here in Arizona where I am. So I think there's something to specific places that bring out like our past lives or our essence.
yeah, definitely. Well, so okay, so let's get into goddesses, because actually I thought manta rays brought me here to the Big Island, to Kona side.
Woo!
But goddess Pele, she's like, no, I brought you here. So tell me about your experiences with the goddesses, because that's right up my alley too. Like, I love working with the goddess energy.
I do too. And you know what? Like, I didn't even know I was like working with the goddesses. And now looking back, I'm like, I've been working with them since I was like 3. So, like, I remember my mom telling me you would spend hours in like a bubble bath and you would be talking to the queen. And it was like these in-depth conversations. I would start keeping a journal and a diary of talking to the queen, which I now know to be the goddess divine mother. And um so that's how it first like came through my bones. It was like in a dialogue with the divine. And as I got further into learning about goddesses in history, I started collecting different statues. Like even now, like looking around my office, I have Hathor over here, I have Diana, which is my namesake, at the door, and then I have Kuan Yin, right? And so just feeling the essence of these different goddesses and how they help to imbue us in certain parts of our life,
Mhm.
and through tradition, through ritual, even through like what we wear. And to me, like it's about bringing like the modern goddess in. So it's like, what makes you feel like a goddess? What makes you remind yourself that you are divine? And it's different things for different people. So a lot of the clients I work with are very comfortable in their masculine, they're
Mhm.
CEOs, business women, they get shit done. But in relationships, they don't know how to soften. They don't know how to take that mask off and just be vulnerable and allow the universe and men and women, right, to give to them without feeling like they have to give right back. And
Mhm.
so part of my work is tapping into divine goddess. I can actually channel the goddesses that are around a specific client, and like what is going on for them and giving them the tools. It's like, hey, right now you're working on self-worth. Like, let me teach you how to connect with Athena because she's fierce, right? In a way that you understand at your job. And so they come to me, and in the Goddess Circle Collective, which is a membership circle that I run, every month we explore a new goddess and a new energy and how to like embody that goddess in an authentic way. Because being feminine is not just about wearing lipstick and
Yes.
leaning back and all the feminine magnetism tips we hear on YouTube. I mean, that's part of it, but it's like, if that's not your true core,
Mhm.
to me feminine is about feeling safe to vision, feeling safe to be in community, and feeling safe in your body, and tapping into sensory pleasure in a way that makes sense for you. So that in a nutshell is my goddess experience.
Okay, well, I love that. And I just got back from Egypt where I got to
Oh,
experience Hathor
oh,
and Isis
oh,
and
jealous.
Sekhmet. And so,
Oh.
yeah. What was so funny though, our guide, he's open, like he is not a traditional Egyptologist. He studied Egyptology, but now he's gone away from the mainstream because it's all BS.
Mhm.
But what was interesting is with Sekhmet, he's like, okay, she's someone to be feared. And I'm like, why would I?
No.
I'm like, why would I be afraid of her? He's like, well, she's this, fierce power. And I'm like, that's who I am. I'm like, no, I resonate with that. Kind of like I resonate with Pele, goddess of
You don't
volcanoes.
mess with Pele, man. And she's like, I take no prisoners and make no apologies for it.
Exactly.
And you can get me a drink while you're at it.
So it was so funny because he looked at me like he didn't know what to do with that because maybe he's used to other types of women, but I'm like, no. There's,
Right. Or you just saw his own, right? Like his own perception of what she is. And it's like, really? Like, have you ever examined whether what you're saying is true, or is this just
yeah,
easy because the history book said she's fierce and fierce means scary?
right.
I
Yeah.
love that. Sekhmet is powerful, and I often see her like surrounded by like cats and like this
Mhm.
cat energy. And cats are unpredictable. Women, we are unpredictable. We are cyclical. We are not linear. We don't often make sense to ourselves. And that's part of our mystery and charm. And like the sooner we just all accept that, the easier it is to just be.
Well, and when this airs, I will have just come back from a trip to Bali for 2 weeks,
No
and I've
way.
Bali before, and part of that trip is really again tapping into the god and goddess energy of the Hindu gods and goddesses, which Sarasvati is my number one Hindu goddess. She like
Knowledge, creativity. Yes. Oh, I'm
yeah,
so envious of your travels. It's amazing.
yeah, and then really tuning into the Lakshmi energy, of abundance and prosperity and all of that. So
Oh,
anyway, so I just love. So, who for you, besides having the ones that you named around you, who do you work with the most closely?
I would say the two that tend to be in my sphere a lot are Aphrodite and Kali, which couldn't be more opposite energies. Kali comes in anytime I'm up leveling my life.
Okay.
It's almost like I don't have a choice. I have to go through whatever it is. And people get removed from my life, situations get resolved or taken away. And I'm like, wow, I just have to surrender to this experience. And Aphrodite is really, for me, about reminding me to get into my body and to play because I can get, really like stuck into work and just like, all of us. And my former career, so before I did this work, I was a teacher and I taught dance and ballet and was a professional dancer on shows and all that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I kind of lost, like, that's kind of where I got my company name, Dancing Goddess. And Aphrodite came to me in a dream, actually, with my grandmother when I was thinking about what should I name this business. And I saw this beautiful woman in like a sheer white, like piece of fabric, like half naked, dancing on the beach, like at moonlight. And I'm like, who are you? And she was like, Aphrodite. And it was just very ethereal.
Mhm.
And then my grandmother was there, that the fierce, scary lady. And she was just like, pay attention to this goddess. And she wrote Dancing Goddess in the sand for me before she kind of dissolved and like disappeared. And I was like, whoa. So it's, both energies. For me, Kali is about surrender and Aphrodite is about receiving and pleasure and reminding me that like we're all worth it and it's okay to receive.
That's beautiful. I love that. Well, so then tell me about the healing work that you do and being a medicine woman.
Yes. So I absolutely love helping my clients to release energy from past lives, from lineage agreements. One of my specialties, which again, I didn't like seek, I think it just is in my blood, is seeing like what are the same agreements, right, that women in your line have made that are not serving you. And I'm able to dial really deep and help my client to get them in a state where they're clearing themselves essentially. And I've seen women who said that they never wanted to be in a relationship all of a sudden be engaged. Women that we saw vows of poverty cleared and starting businesses and being successful and like looking at me like, can I really have this? My mom never had this and her mom. And I'm like, yes, like you are the one that gets to clear this from your history and from your line, whether you have children or not. It's like all of us need to shine as bright as we can. And sometimes it just takes, somebody holding space for us where we feel safe to be seen and authentic, to let stuff go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so what kind of modalities do you do in that healing work? Oh, and you froze. Diana? Well, it looks like she's frozen. So we will wait a moment and see if she comes back on. Hopefully, I'm not the one frozen. So, anyway, hope you all are enjoying this conversation. I know I am. And let me just take her off for a moment. Let me add back to the stage. Nope. Okay. Well, interesting turn of events, and maybe she will come back on in just a moment. So, um, for those of you that are resonating with this conversation, definitely check out Diana's work at thedancinggoddess.com. And she's also offering a free gift, which is like a 5-day e-course on finding your soulmate, something along those lines. So I'll make sure to put that link in the show notes. And okay, it looks like we have lost her. She's not coming back on, but what a fabulous conversation. And for those of you, oh, here she comes back on. Okay, hello.
No idea what happened, guys. The
Oh my
universe had other plans.
right? I was just promoting, your website and your yeah.
We have to roll with this. I'm like, you can't make this shit up.
I know. Nope, I know. Well, and that's the beauty of, just
Keep
organic
going.
conversation. So, okay. So the question that I had started asking was, what are some of the different kind of modalities that you use for your healing work?
Yeah, so my foundation is Reiki. I also do past life regression and kind of a version of hypnotherapy, not traditional. I also use numerology, so I can look at the cycles that my client's going through and their soul blueprint. And then also working with the angels and the goddesses and channeling and just, intuitive psychic information, if you will.
Okay. Well, and so when you started actually working with the angels and the goddesses and channeling, was that experience, was that a little weird for you at first, or did you just relaxed right into it?
Not at all. So from the time I was little, I always kept a journal, and I learned, through taking classes that automatic writing is a way for you to kind of bypass the logic. And so that's how a lot of my training just began. And it's still a way that I feel like I connect to my guides is just asking the question, what would you have me know today? And what do you want me to know about XYZ situation? And then whatever comes, I noticed that sometimes my handwriting will change
Mm,
or the words will be like something I wouldn't use. And that's when my senses get heightened and I'm like, I need to pay attention. This is a message.
yeah, excellent. Well, in my channeling, it started coming through writing at first, and
Yes.
then they really wanted to come through vocally. So that took a little bit of feeling safe enough, like trusting myself enough that I could do that. And
I
then,
love that.
yeah,
Yes, and it's still like that, right? Like, there's that little part that's like, "Can I really go there? Like, is this really what is happening?" And when you just kind of shut that part off, like, I started teaching classes and channeling goddesses, and the feedback I was receiving was incredible, and I'm like, "I don't know how I would have ever known whatever came out." But you just have to get out of your own way and know that it's not about you, right? Or me. It's like, it's about the message.
exactly. Well, so the clients that come to you, who's your favorite kind of client?
Somebody who's already, on the spiritual path. And what I mean by that is they're into personal development, right? Maybe they're listening to podcasts or reading personal developments, spiritual books. And they are usually empaths. So they're very familiar with energy and already know that that's something that is a gift, but also something they need to manage. And I would say somebody who's receptive to receiving support, which can sometimes be the hardest thing, right? Like giving yourself permission to invest in yourself and allow, a stranger to hold space for you.
Yeah, beautiful. So, um, and so you mentioned that you're in Arizona. So
Yes.
do you work with people remotely or in person or both?
Yeah, so mostly remotely. I would say 99% remote. I usually do a retreat once a year in Sedona or somewhere else, and so that component obviously is in person. And I do have a few people that are local here that will want to just like get together, and sometimes I'll teach a local class. But for the most part, my business is almost all online.
Okay, perfect. And the free gift that
Oh,
we're going to put the link in, tell the audience more about that.
okay, so I kept seeing repeated questions, repeated patterns in the private clients that I worked with. And I actually am like, everybody needs to know like these 5 components if they really want to strengthen their self love, feel more confident. And so I've put together a very simple but very specific e-course. So it's 5 days and it's totally free. I called it Soulmate, and you can get a lot of value from this, whether you are in a relationship or not. It's not really about that. It's more about reconnecting to yourself
Mhm.
and reminding yourself that you are important, that you matter, that your desires are important. And I share some of the tools and the techniques that I share with private clients. So you're going to get like kind of the appetizer course to the main meal.
Okay, well, what a beautiful gift. And, the more that whether it's men or women tapping into themselves and really understanding their love, their worthiness, that then just propagates out into the world, right? Because the more love that we can have for
Absolutely.
ourselves, then we can be love for other people.
Absolutely. And I would love, this is the teacher in me, Lisa, but I would love to share an acronym with everybody
Yeah.
on self-love. So if you're watching this, you want to get a sheet of paper out, just write the word loved down the side, okay? And maybe I'll share it with you and you can put it in the description. But the L in loved is about leading with your truth. It all comes from the truth. If you're not being real with yourself, how can you expect to have somebody be honest with you, right? So lead with your truth. Don't apologize for what you want. Be clear. And then the O in loved is own your choices. You made some choices in the past. Maybe they weren't the best, but it's okay. Own the fact that you made them and you can move on and make a new choice all the time. All right. And then the V is view everyone as a teacher. So instead of playing the victim, instead of looking at, well, why did they do that? Why did they ghost me? Spend your energy seeing, how did I grow from this? What is it reinforcing in what I want? It's a more powerful question. And then the E is engage and add value. Regardless again of your relationship status, people love people who like really add value to the world and who have no like agenda other than to be themselves. And so people ask like, what's my divine purpose? I'm like, it's to be your authentic self. That's it. Like whatever profession you choose to sprinkle your gifts and talents, fantastic, but that's not even who you are. Like who you are is so much bigger and brighter. So find ways to add value and you'll find that love comes back to you when you don't even realize it. And then the last one, the D, is desire the best for yourself and others. It's time to raise your standards. If there's something in your life that has been kind of a heel, a thorn in your side, it's time to up level your beliefs about what's possible. So those are 5 little nuggets I wanted to share with everybody.
Okay. Well, I love all of those and I totally agree with all of them. So, no, that's beautiful. So, in our last little bit of time here, any other just words of wisdom or anything else that's coming to you that you're being called to share?
I would just love everyone to put your hand over your heart or your hands over your heart. And let's just I just want to send a blessing to everyone. So just taking a nice deep breath in and exhale. And I just ask divine, God, goddess, whatever you believe in, just to help you remember that you are loved, that you are enough, and that you matter. And so it is.
So it is. Beautiful. And so once again, people can find you at thedancinggoddess.com.
Yes.
And then what socials can they find you on if they want to follow you?
Yeah, so Facebook and Instagram, it's just my name, Diana Dorell. And always welcome to send me a message from the website or from socials. I would love to hear from you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate the conversation. I love the work that you do.
Thank you so much.
Yes, but just we need more of this in the world.
Agreed.
Yeah. And for those of you watching or listening, thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you next time on Connection to the Cosmos. Aloha.